What's up everybody, the Blue Fang here, and today I'm here with a new what if that is pretty much a new version of my other Dojutsu what if. It's not gonna have the same storyline or even have the same Dojutsu that Naruto had in that what if. This is literally a do-over of that what if, and if this video goes well, then I'll be sure to continue with a part 2, part 3, part 4, and wherever it goes up to. I won't say there's a like goal for this video, but if it can get at least 60 likes, that would be nice and would show that people want some more of this what if. So without further ado, let's just get right into the video. Now the way I'm gonna try to make this Dojutsu come into Naruto's life is that I'm gonna make it come from the Uzumaki clan. Yeah, I know, pretty generic, but it's whatever. It's Uzumaki Dojutsu that had come from a very long time ago, ever since they had made ties with the Senju clan. The Uzumaki clan would be feared for their Dojutsu, as their eyes they have would be dangerous to not only people, but concept itself. These eyes that can be called the mystic eyes of depth perception in this what if are able to see the depth of all things. The depth of all things are obviously invisible to normal people, but the people who have this Dojutsu from the Uzumaki clan are able to see lines on everything once activated. These lines that they see are literally the points of depth that a person or thing would crumble from. Those who have the mystic eyes could even be able to cut through the earth if they can find the lines of death on it. It's a really overpowered Dojutsu, but if it's used by someone like Naruto, then of course he wouldn't use it to, well, destroy the earth. Now the Uzumaki clan's bloodline would slowly start to die out over time, and the Dojutsu that came from the clan would go extinct. So the more newer Uzumaki clan members like Kushina wouldn't have the Dojutsu, and the mystic eyes would only live on in legends. Now that's where the background information ends. All in all, the people with the mystic eyes of depth perception are able to see lines on everything which indicate the points of depth that when they cut through, they can make their target easily crumble from. They could even use something like a pencil to cut away at these lines and it would still work. All they have to do is swipe at the lines of their target and they'll fall. Now let's get into the story. Now everyone knows the story of how Naruto got Kurama inside of him, so let's skip over that. Nothing really different happened then in this what if, so let's cut to a later time. We cut to a later time in the Sound Village. Here we have our favorite missing nin thinking about his next move on being a menace to society. He had always thought of acquiring true knowledge of the world of shinobi, but something is in his way of doing that. He had heard of an ancient Dojutsu called the Mystic Eyes of Depth Perception, but had never seen it for himself. He needs to experience how that Dojutsu acts and feels. He wants to know how it is acquired and how it affects the shinobi world. The only information he has on these eyes is that they come from a very old line of Uzumaki members that had extremely strong chakra to handle it. Oh, and yeah, also, these eyes can't be used by people with low chakra reserves. Being able to see the depth of all things would of course need a strong will and chakra to basically process how they're being able to see death. Someone with a weak will or chakra would easily falter from the sight of death and could damage their brain badly. Orochimaru had heard small bits of this sort of information and quickly reminds himself of an Uzumaki clan member from the Leaf Village who had been called the Nine-Tailed Fox. Obviously the Nine-Tails has strong reserves of chakra that has potential to unlock and activate the mystic eyes at the user's will. Orochimaru has a strong grin on his face when thinking of this stuff. He wants to know what exactly these mystic eyes are and how it connects to depth perception. So right now he thinks of a plan to send someone to retrieve the Uzumaki Jinchuriki in the Leaf Village and bring him back to the Sound Village. First he would see how they use it, and maybe he might as well take over their body to experience it for himself. Orochimaru calls up one of his many goons and tells them about his plan. They nod their head with no hesitation and get ready to sneak into the leaf for him to complete the mission. Orochimaru wants knowledge and he'll do anything to achieve it. With a pleasant smile on his face, he awaits for the mystic eyes to come into his domain. We cut to Konoha with Naruto walking around, unknown of the Dojutsu that he could awaken and unknown of the person that is coming to take him away. Of course he's still an isolated boy in this what if and no one is with him. He walks alone through the streets and is heading towards the academy for the gaining exams. Naruto obviously is worried about whether he could actually pass the exam, but he puts on an excited look on his face as he needs to show everyone that he has no doubts in his own abilities. He eventually makes it to the academy and quickly fails the exam, unable to succeed in doing the transformation technique. The same things happen with Mizuki telling Naruto about the scroll of sealing, and Naruto would be able to seal it for himself and learn the multi-shadow clone jutsu. Iruka eventually confronts him, and moments afterwards, Mizuki makes his entrance. Mizuki would injure Iruka badly just like in the original, and Naruto would eventually use the new shadow clone technique he had just learned on him. But thinking that it's all over after beating Mizuki, he lets down his guard and goes to check on Iruka. But as he tries to put his hand on his sensei, a knife zips through the air and pierces into Naruto's hand. Naruto screams out in pain and blood spills onto the ground. He turns around to see his attacker, but no one is there. He then turns everywhere, looking from every angle, but the only thing he sees are multiple cuts through the air, showing that his attacker is too quick for him to see. Eventually the attacker makes his move and charges at Naruto headfirst with a sword. Too slow to react since he's only 12 years old, Naruto gets stabbed into the stomach by his attacker. It's nothing too strong though, as the attacker, who is Orochimaru's henchman, needs him alive to send him back. Naruto blacks out though, as he had never felt this pain in his life. The sound ninja grabs Naruto before he falls to the ground and captures him in his arms. But as he's ready to escape back to the sound village, he's met with a swarm of leaf ninjas that had heard the action, as well as Hiruzen, who had seen what was going on through his crystal ball. Hiruzen doesn't hesitate and quickly dashes at the sound ninja, getting Naruto back in a second. He can't take any chances if a Jinchuriki of the village is trying to get captured. The other shinobi check on Iruka and apprehend Mizuki, while Hiruzen easily seizes the sound ninja. More other ninjas then take the sound ninja away with them, while Hiruzen takes Naruto to the hospital as he can't leave him wounded like this. We cut to hours later when Naruto wakes up. He opens his eyes and what he sees shocks him and makes him close his eyes quickly. He then opens them again and checks, yet it happens again. Multiple lines. All Naruto can see in his surroundings are multiple lines, or you could say cracks. He's shaking. He can't comprehend everything that is happening right now. He remembers the things that had happened before though, everything about Mizuki, the sound ninja, and getting pierced by a sword, which is why he's in the hospital. But what's happening now is all that he's thinking at the moment. He glances at the desk beside him and sees that they as well have lines on them. He hesitates for a moment, but then grabs a pencil and then reaches out for the lines that is in the desk. He places the pencil in them and goes along with the line, and as he does that, the desk quickly falls apart. It cracks. A loud bang could be heard as it falls apart, and the people in the hospital hurry to Naruto's room to see what's going on. They see the desk falling apart and destroyed, and stare at Naruto with strict eyes. They then talk amongst themselves, talking about why they had to bring the Nine Tails in the hospital. They throw disgusted faces at Naruto and then leave. They didn't even ask him what had just happened, as they didn't want to talk to someone like him. They just knew he did it. Naruto is currently scared. He slowly starts to realize what he had just done and is afraid. He doesn't know what exactly this is, but he begins to know how he was able to do it. Crack the lines on everything, people as well. When the people in the hospital came into his room, he could see the lines on them as well, which made him speechless. All he could do is swipe along those lines and they would fall apart, just like the desk. He's scared of his own abilities and gets out of his bed. He then runs and runs, eventually making his way out of the hospital. While he's running, he mistakenly falls onto a tree, but as he pushes himself from the tree, one of his fingers swipe along the lines that are embedded into it and the tree falls apart. His eyes widen largely and dashes away from the falling tree. He's sweating, huffing, puffing, scared, confused, and unable to comprehend how all of this had happened. He eventually stops in his tracks when he's all alone. He closes his eyes and opens them again, but unfortunately, he still sees the cracked lines within his surroundings. He places his hand on his head, trying to calm himself down. A while passes, but he then hears a voice behind him, the Hokage's voice, Hiruzen. Hiruzen decides to ask why Naruto had run away from the hospital and why he had seen a fallen tree in his path to get here. Naruto is speechless for a while, but then opens his mouth. Lines. All I can see are cracked lines. On you, the buildings, the trees, the pathway, everything. When I touch them, the things that have these lines fall apart. Why? Why do I see this stuff? Naruto desperately questions Hiruzen, and Hiruzen is a bit taken aback. He thinks for a while, and then a look of shock draws upon his face. The mystic eyes. Hiruzen whispers. Naruto questions what he had just said. The mystic eyes, Naruto. You have the mystic eyes. Naruto is confused, but Hiruzen tells him to come along with him and that he'll explain what exactly they are and how he has them. Naruto runs over to Hiruzen with no hesitation and walks beside him, desperate to know what these mystic eyes are. Once they both get to the place Hiruzen wanted to be at, Hiruzen starts off his explanation. A long time ago, the Uzumaki clan was a clan feared by everyone. Their eyes were a big part in that, and another was them being the only clan in history that had brought ruin to about 100 clans in the duration of 2 days. And that's what I'm gonna end it off for today. Hopefully you did enjoy, and if you did, make sure to comment down below if you want another part. Yeah, this story is going to be different from the original Naruto, which is what people like, I'm guessing. A different take on the story of Naruto, not just the character, but the overall world. If you did enjoy, make sure to show some support and you will easily get a part 2. But like always, subscribe if you haven't, hit the like button, and turn on bell notifications. It's been the Blue Fang, peace.